Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am wearing a Tequila Help sweater, and I want you to know that we went to the Westerner this weekend, went to the club, and tequila does not help.
Tequila doesn't help a single thing in my life. Tequila Taylor is grounded. She is not allowed to come play. She's done. She's retired. Party girl era over.
Yeah, I didn't feel terrible the next day, but I didn't feel great. I only got a couple hours of sleep, which is like not something you do in your 30s. And I drank a bit of tequila, I would say.
And we also got served mezcal. Can we tell our followers about that? Because I don't think people understand how much I personally hate mezcal because this little lady right here had me take a shot of mezcal that I had never tried before. And mezcal is not a shooting tequila.
No, it tastes like lighter fluid, and it was an accident purchase. I didn't actually know what mezcal was. That was a rookie mistake on my part, and I bought a beautiful bottle in North Carolina, and I was like, yeah, we gotta have a shot. It smells weird, but like we're doing it. Worst thing ever, and we were accidentally
Terrible.
served that. So I don't know, man. But we did have tequila help us sing karaoke at the Westerner. We are actual stars. If you guys don't know, the Westerner is a like, I don't know, line dancing
Country
place.
bar.
Is that what
Yes,
you
country bar.
country bar
Hmm.
in Salt Lake, and we go maybe once a year. That's about as much as we can handle it. We're definitely reaching the point where we're very out of place.
We're very old.
But
Question
there's
mark?
old, I mean, there was older people, but they go regular. And so if you don't go regular, like you just feel really out of place. But we were featured on their Instagram because we're karaoke queens. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's
We
that.
are karaoke queens, all right.
If you would like an autograph because we're famous now, please DM us. We will send you our picture on a postcard with our signature. It's a great photo. We will share it on the stories for the podcast page, which speaking of, I must say, I'm very sorry, you guys. We've been so silent on our Instagram page for the podcast. Sometimes I truly have forgotten about it lately, and I think we've just been posting on our own because we have more followers there anyways.
Well, I feel like most
But
people follow us on our personal, so that's why I haven't
yeah.
really thought about it.
Yeah, so sorry there hasn't been much fun content there. I realized that like 2 days ago and I was like, oh wow, we really just like fucking quit. So thanks for being there still. Thanks for still following us. Keep it up. We will maybe one day do better.
And Lois made a hilarious edit of our karaoke picture, so we'll post that because it is really
Yes.
funny.
Yes, it's very on brand for the podcast. So
Mhm.
yeah, other than that, we finally have an episode together. I think we've had two solos in a row, so I'm happy that we have a podcast together today.
Me too. It feels like it's been so long.
I know, I almost get confused sometimes about what our episode was when we
Mhm.
don't record together. Like I forgot that last week was me, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, that was just last week, but it doesn't
Yeah,
feel like it.
yeah, I totally agree.
Crazy town. And also, Christmas is just around the corner. We do have a break coming up shortly. So I can't remember the date right now off the top of my head. Probably next week we'll share it with you more in depth. But we will be having a break in Christmas time. And also, hopefully, everyone's putting their Christmas up soon.
I still have Halloween up. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you're crazy. You should just make a Halloween tree.
Listen, I don't even have a Christmas tree because I
Oh,
threw my
yeah.
away at the end of last year because half of it was broken. And Tony was like, I'll fix it. And I was like, you're not going to fix it. So I threw it away and I hated that tree anyway. But I really need to go buy. I know what one I'm going to purchase. I just need to go actually purchase the tree.
I just buy everything online, I feel.
Yeah, you are an online gal. I'm not.
I hate going to the store. It's such a waste of time. I could just sit and order it and boom, bam, zing, zang, zoo. It's at my door.
Literally every single time I come to your house, you have packages at your door. I do not think there has been one time that you have not had a package at your door when I come over, and I come over a lot.
I don't think there was any when you came over on Saturday.
Okay, there wasn't. That was the very first time.
See, I've calmed down. I've tried to get my spending in check. Bitch has been going crazy town, it feels like. But yeah, you guys should all put your Christmas up. It's gonna come before you know it. And life is just speeding on by.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like, I can't believe we're basically 45 days away from the end of the year.
I know. I know.
That's insane. Insanity.
That's insane.
Insane. Any other updates you'd like to share before we jump into our topic?
Honestly, no, I don't think so. I don't think I have any updates that I would like to share. I've just been very crazy. I feel like I'm a mess. I am just so busy. So that's my update. Oh my God. Actually, I do. Tell me lies. If you guys
Oh,
watch the show, I'm so obsessed. I'm so obsessed. And if we do not, did you finish it?
no, I'm on episode 8. I was about to watch it today and then I got too busy at work. And so I'm like ready to start the last episode of season 2.
Oh my gosh, you're just gonna die. There has not been a confirmed season 3 yet, and I am telling you, if we do not get a season 3, I will lose it. I will lose it. I am so obsessed with this show. If you have not watched it, watch it. Watch it without children. There's a lot of sex,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it is such a good show. So that's been consuming my little free time that I have.
Yeah, it's a good series. I got super hooked and then I traveled and then I came back and haven't. But then Taylor started watching it. So now I got recommitted. But yes, the sex scenes are very heavy. They are very fucking hot though. Like, I'm sorry. I'm always like, God damn, like, this is making me a bit uncomfortable because like I'm fucking ready to have sex now. Sorry, not
You
sorry.
just admitted that on the podcast.
I'm human. I'm sorry. What do you
It's
want
true
from me?
though. It's true. It really is. It's such a good show.
Yeah. Also the only thing I would like to say is thank you so much for leaving these spindrifts at my
Oh,
house.
you're welcome.
I always forget how much I love them, and I'm trying to like cleanse my palate before Friendsgiving this weekend because the Westerner like did a number for sure on my body. It had to have after all of the tequila. And so I'm trying not to drink wine, and it's so helpful having those when you're trying to be sober, Sally.
Well, I'm
But
glad.
I'm a fucking idiot because I was pouring it because I knew there was a little left in my cup, and I literally was watching myself pour it, knowing that it was barely gonna make it. And now my drink is so full that like I can't even lift it. And I was literally watching myself thinking, what are you gonna do when this is full and it might spill? And I couldn't stop doing it. Like I was mesmerized.
Where are you going with this?
And now I just need everyone to hear me slurp it. And I did spill it. It was so full. Like, I don't know why I did that. That was so stupid of me. Anyways, I'm an idiot these days, guys, and I'm sexually aroused by TV shows.
That was such a weird noise.
ASMR, man, someone's into it for
Oh
sure.
my gosh. All right. Well, anyways, anything else to catch up on? We were supposed to use those sodas for tequila sodas, but we just drank straight tequila instead. So
God, and we drank a lot of it. I was pretty surprised.
almost a whole bottle before we went to the bar.
Yeah, but Tony had a little bit
Like
too.
2 shots.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. We're crazy town. Anyways, we do not have a drinking problem. Let's move on to the episode. Just kidding. We might. Okay.
No, we're in control.
Yeah, I'm sober right now. Okay. We are talking about I guess asking the universe for signs. So we did an episode about like manifesting, I think, recently. And I think we talked a little bit about this topic, but recently I noticed this also wasn't planned. This is very like off the cuff, decided we needed to talk about this. I personally wanted to talk about this. Um, I feel like I ask the universe for signs all the time, but then I just genuinely forget. Like I forgot that I asked it. I forgot I'm not paying attention, which I think is like kind of an issue for my mental state because like that goes to show that like I'm not being very present sometimes. But I feel like Taylor is really good at like being in tune with this and also asking for signs. She's had a lot of like really cool experiences. And so I wanted to break it down a little bit of like, I don't know what it even means to ask for these signs, why people do it, how to ask for them, how to recognize them better. I don't know. I want to go over all the things, but I feel like you're the expert compared to me. Like I get the gist of it, but like I said, like I don't stay in tune. And I don't know if you ever run into that, but I just feel like I ask for signs all the time. And there's definitely times when I haven't forgotten or I like one happens and I like remember and I'm like, oh yeah, I was asking for that, and like it kind of pops in. But, and maybe it's also that I'm an Enneagram 1, but I feel a lot of pressure to make sure I'm like really committed to asking and listening to my signs.
Hey, well, I'm excited to dive into this. If you guys haven't guessed this about me yet, I'm a very spiritual person. And
Which
I'm not like religious at all. I actually think religion is ridiculous, but spirituality, I'm very, very into that. I've kind of always been this way. I think I mentioned it in my episode about leaving the church that like I never connected with that religious side of things, but I connected more with like the spiritual side of things. I've always been really, really, really in tune with people's energies. I've always kind of seen like colors or seen like shadows or seen, I guess, like ghosts, if you want to call them that. Kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm a very spiritual person. I feel like that amplified tenfold when my dad died. And that's when I really, really started diving into this more. I was actually just having a conversation at work right before I left with somebody about how like when people die, you want to know that they're still around. You want to know that that there's more. Like death, what I'm learning a lot about death is a lot of people are afraid of death because it's just so uncertain. And so people, why religion is such a big thing is because people are searching for those answers, right? So when my dad died, I wanted everything to be a sign. I wanted everything to be a sign that he was around or that I could trust him or whatever. My dad is a very, very, very active spirit, which he told me and both Tony that he was going to be an active spirit before he died, but he definitely is very active. So I started just kind of asking him for signs. So I was going to grab the book before we started recording, but I forgot to grab it. So I'll link it on our Instagram, but it's called Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. She is, I know I've talked about the podcast she's on before with Chelsea Handler. She's a psychic and she wrote this book called Signs, and it's all about asking for signs, diving into signs, all of that from the other side. So what's really funny is dragonflies are my sign from my dad or from just the other side. And I was looking at this book probably like 3 weeks ago when we talked about doing this topic. And I noticed that there's a giant dragonfly on the front of like on the cover of the book. And I remember when I got this book, I got it probably, I would say probably 6 months before my dad died. And it was kind of like I listened to the podcast and then I was like, oh, I want to get this book. Like this was really interesting. This is the most connection, like the thing that made the most sense about death. So I bought the book, put it on my bookshelf, forgot about it, and then found it like I think the week that my dad died, like the week after he had died. And I don't know if that dragonfly has anything to do with how dragonflies became my sign, but yeah, so dragonflies are my sign from the other side. I see dragonflies every single day in one form or another, whether it's a real thing, whether it's a drawn thing, if it's the word dragonfly, if I hear somebody say dragonfly, I have it every single day. So that has really been my sign. I didn't ask for that. So I think you don't always have to ask for it to be a sign. If you start to notice that you are seeing the same repeating things every day, a way that you really first get into seeing signs is numbers. People notice numbers a lot more than they notice something like a dragonfly. So if you start seeing repeating numbers a lot, 111, 222, 1111, like if every time you're looking at the clock, it's 1111, or if you see like 1111 on like license plates a lot or something, like that's kind of your cue that like the other side is communicating with you. So really, like Shelby, to what you said, you have to be present with this stuff, which is a challenge for a lot of people. I know that I've also talked about that before. Um, you like that's the biggest thing that I teach when I teach yoga is just to be present in your space, be present in your body, be present with your surroundings. Because if you are not present, you will miss these things. So, yeah, you really need to be present in your life.
Yeah, I think that that's like one of the biggest things I've really started to notice is like I definitely like zone out quite a bit when I have like mental freedom. And instead of zoning out, I need to like kind of be more present in those moments. I think that too, like signs can come from anything. And I think we talked about this in our manifesting episode where like they can come, you can believe in it coming from the universe, you can believe it coming from your higher self. Like Taylor said, her dad's really active. You can believe it's coming from Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, whatever. Like there's spirit guides, which is like that one's a bit hard for me to connect to. That I think has like some religious trauma tied to it, but also in my mind, like that means it has to be tied to somebody I know that's died. And I don't know where I thought has to be like some church thing that's ingrained in me because in my mind, it's like it has to be someone you're related to that you know that died. That to me, like 100%. And so there's like a huge blockage there. And I'm trying to like let that go, but it's really weird. But I think too, like what I'm saying is it really can be whatever spiritual source that you connect with or you believe in or whatever. And I think it's also like what Taylor was saying, like there, it was just like on this book, like sometimes they really do just come into your life. And if you start noticing them, that's like the crazy part that like really starts to help you see those synchronicities of like that connection to that spiritual side. But I think a lot of people will ask for signs, or like I think the reason they seek for them is because they're trying to confirm a decision or a direction in their life. They're feeling some type of way about something. They want to feel supported. If they're going through something or have like a connection to, I don't know, I guess something greater. I think what makes me a bit annoyed with asking for a sign, I guess, is like it almost reminds me of like when I was in church and anytime, like when I was like kind of in church and kind of not in church, like anytime life was hard, that's when I was like, I need to pray. And it's like, why don't I ask for things when it like things are good? And do you feel like you ask for or like seek things when things are going fine? Or are you also someone that's like, yeah, I'm mostly like thinking about it or asking for them when I'm going through something?
I think I ask for more specific things when I'm in a hard place, like things that I can't miss. And I'll tell a story here with that. My dad really loved car shows. He really loved old cars. Like in another life, if he wasn't a shitty person in his human form, he would have been a radio DJ who played 80s hair bands all day and had a collection of old cars. Like in his higher self was that man, was that person. So the week that he died, I asked, like, if you are around, please send me old cars. Like, and I asked it in a way of like, I can't ignore it. And anytime that I'm really going through something big, he remembered that and he sends me old cars. So when I was having my problems with Gypsy, my dog, I had to drive her down to Ogden for a vet. I was driving through the canyon and it was a rainy day. I think it was actually snowing and it was just like shitty weather. And if you know anything about like old car show cars, people don't drive them like every day. Like they are for car shows. You drive them to the car show. You'll do like a cruise type thing. Like you don't drive them in the rain or the snow. I was driving through the canyon, bright blue old car was driving through the canyon in shitty weather. And I was like, that is a sign from my dad, like without a doubt in my mind, because that's just something out of the ordinary that doesn't happen. The morning or the day that Gypsy died, Tony and I were sitting on our porch with her because we always just love to sit on like our front porch, and we heard just like a really clunky like car noise. And we looked over. If you know how my house is set up, we have like our neighborhood and we have like kind of a main-ish road that gets a decent amount of traffic, but there was this old loud car that was just driving down the road. And I was like, it was just like an instant comfort of like, my dad is here. He's going to take care of her. So if I'm going through something hard, he will send me old cars in ways that I can't ignore that it's him. Like It's bright, it's flashy, it's loud. Like you can't just ignore this situation. But in my everyday life, with the dragonflies are my everyday life. I don't ask for them. They literally just show up every day. That is a way for me to know that like I'm still connected to myself spiritually. I'm still connected to the other side. Everything's okay. Like if at this point, 3 years, it's been almost 3 years that I've seen him every day. If I stop seeing a dragonfly every day, I'm going to be like, what the hell's wrong? Like something is wrong. So yeah, it really just depends.
I guess too, like after I was thinking about it and like hearing you talk, most of the time, like when you see something in your regular life and you're not going through something hard, it probably shows up more as like a glimmer or something that's
Mhm.
like seeing the numbers where it's like feels positive and it's just like happening and you're not really like thinking about it. And then it's like really when you're seeking and you're asking for something specific, it's because it's a negative. I guess in my mind, sometimes I'm like, are we only asking for these things like because we're going through something? Because that seems kind of fucked up. If I was the universe, I'd be like, listen, you need to appreciate me more all the time.
I totally agree with that. And that's actually something that I really want to touch on. I always express gratitude for my signs. Like anytime I see a dragonfly, I'm always just like, I'll just close my eyes and I'll be like, thank you. Like, always have gratitude for that sign. And when it's the more flashy signs, they're more emotional for me. So I'll be like crying and be like, thank you, Dad. Like, thank you so much for letting me know that you are here. Thank you for this. And having gratitude, we actually have an episode in the next few weeks, right before Thanksgiving, that's going to be all about gratitude. So I won't dive into it like super much, like a ton, but gratitude is the basis for most things. And if you don't have gratitude for these signs and for the other side communicating with you, they're not going to still communicate with you. I
Yeah.
firmly believe that you have to be thankful for the communication. So just a quick, like, okay, thank you. Or if you see 1111, like, okay, thank you. Like, I appreciate that I was pulled out of my everyday chaos to have this moment of recognition of presence. Because again, 98% of people are not present in their daily life. It's definitely a skill that you have to learn, and you can so quickly miss these signs.
Yeah, I think that what's even crazier with all of it too is like if you're also not connected to yourself or your everyday life, like I guess it goes back to being present too. Like you're not going to be in tune with these things. And I think we talk about this a lot in that manifestation episode, but it's also like your gut. Like if you're not connected to yourself and you can't tell when you have a gut feeling and you can't like tell when your intuition is like speaking to you, like you're not going to be able to see these signs anyways, even if you were asking for them. I truly believe that like you have to have a level of being in touch with yourself to have that intuition for you to even be able to like see these things too. So it's like you also have to have the gratitude. Like it's like everything in our fucking lives where it's like you have to have like all these habits or things stacked because you can't just have one. You need to be like, I'm grateful. I'm like in connection with myself. Like you have to have all of these different things because you can't just be like, well, I've been grateful, but then deep down like you're not even in touch with yourself and you have no idea and you're not thinking and you're not present. Like it doesn't just work because you have one of the things. You kind of have to have like a habit stack with all of these where you're like, I don't know, stacking things on top of each other, which feels like a lot, but it really can be so easy. Like I think really when you start and we'll again dive into this later with the episode about gratitude, but like when you are chasing a life coming from a place of gratitude, like these other things really just start to happen and they're natural. But it like I remember growing up in the church and my grandma's like very intuitive, I guess is what I would call it, but she calls it the Holy Ghost and she feels like the Holy Ghost is speaking to her all the time. Like she's like, I felt it, I know it in my gut, like this is what's happening, the Holy Ghost told me blah blah blah. To me, that's more of like that's just my intuition. I feel so aligned in my like stomach, my head, my heart, everything that this is like what I need to do or this is what's happening. Like it feels like this weird piece of like connection where I feel so confident in it. And like for her, that's the Holy Ghost. For me, that's my intuition. So I think like when we're saying these things too, remember that you can feel or see these things or feel like trust them however feels right to you. Just because we use these words, like don't get like, I don't know, disconnected from the conversation.
Yeah.
um, let's talk about how to ask for signs because I think sometimes that can be intimidating for people. I know for me, sometimes like I have to feel I feel like I have to be like in the right headspace, or I need to be like doing something witchy to be able to ask for it. Like sometimes I'll be like, I need to do this, but then I just like keep putting it off because I'm like, I need to like put myself in the zone. So I don't know if that's like a thing that really matters for me. I feel like I have to like be in some type of zone to be able to ask for them. Like I'm not just like dropping to my knees praying, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think we should talk about like how that works.
So that's a really good question. I think it depends. Honestly, I think it depends on you and what the situation is that you're needing the sign for. There's been multiple times I've been driving or something and like I'm having anxiety or I'm having thoughts that I don't want to have, and I'll just quickly be like, "Hey, dad, hey, spirit guide, like, hey, higher self, can you send me something just to let me know that like things are going to be okay?" Like I'll just say it out loud. There have been times that I've gone into a meditation and I've asked for something specific. There's been times that I do it during yoga that I'll just ask for something just in my head. If I'm alone, I'll say it out loud just because I believe that, there are people around me. But most of the time, I'll just say it in my head if I'm not alone. So it doesn't need to be anything big unless, in my opinion, unless you want it to be like a big life decision or something. I'm going to go into a meditation and be like talking to the other side, my people on the other side, and be like, I need some direction. I need you to help me in this way. And if you are asking for a sign that specific for that specific reason, have it be something that you don't see every day. Like old cars, I'm not going to see them every day. So when I do see them, it's a cue to me to be like, oh, that's why. In that book Sign, she talks about how a mom lost her kid and she didn't believe that like she was an atheist essentially. So she asked for something obscure. She asked for a giraffe holding a big bunch of balloons, and she went in specifics as like the colors of the balloons. And like a week later, she was looking at cards for something, and right in the center there was this huge card of this giraffe holding the balloons in the exact colors that she said. So it was like so descriptive that like she couldn't deny that it was from the other side. So if you're wanting more of something like that, I would say go into more of like a witchy type vibe. If you're wanting just something kind of low key, something that's, not a big deal, then just kind of just say it out loud.
Yeah, I think that that's one thing that I have also like whenever I've asked for something specific, like I don't let it be vague. I'm not like, let me see angel numbers, because although it's not super common for everyone to see angel numbers, I see them all the time, at least 3 times a day at minimum. I'm always seeing them, which is like for me, like always a reassurance that I'm like on the right path, you know? But if I'm ever looking for something, I'm never like, let me see these numbers. Like I would have to change it. I'd have to be like, let me see 333. Like I'd have to be very specific with it, because otherwise, like, I don't know, I wouldn't take that as my actual direction for the specific thing I was asking. So I think what I have learned is like for sure get specific when you're asking for something specific, and don't make it a generic thing. Like don't make it like the fucking postal guy outside, because I see him all
Yeah.
the time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like one thing I was wondering too, like, do you ever just ask for a sign? Like do you ever just ask for something but not make it specific? Like are you ever just like, if I'm on the right path, like do you keep it vague ever on like asking for a sign, or do you always get very specific of like, I need reassurance, should I take this job? You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. It honestly depends on the situation for me. Another example that I have, I have a lot of examples, but another example that I have is recently I asked my dad just to let me know that he was around until I figure out exactly what I need my sign to be to make a decision I have to make in my life. I just wanted to know that he was around. So I have this lamp that's on my desk. It's a lamp that's for anxiety. It's a jellyfish lamp, and it changes colors and has like jellyfish float around in it. It hasn't worked for months, like literally has not worked. I have tried unplugging it. I have tried I've tried everything and I just thought like, okay, the light bulb was burnt out. It's from freaking like China. I don't know where to get light bulbs to fix it. So I was like, I'm just going to have to throw this away and buy a new one. But I just haven't. It's just been sitting on my desk. The other day I'm sitting in my office, I'm voice noting Shelby, and all of a sudden, because it makes like a ding sound when it turns on, I'm just sitting at my vanity, which is over here. The lamp is over here, like not even close. I haven't even touched this lamp for probably a month. And I'm sitting there voice noting Shelby, and all of a sudden I heard the music and I stopped and was like, what the hell? And I look over and the light just turned on by itself. And it was an instant comfort to me because I knew that that was my dad saying, like, hey, I'm here. Like, so it really just depends. Like in that
Yeah.
situation, I just asked to know that he was around and that I was being taken care of still by him. So it really just depends for me.
Do you ever give it like a specific time frame of like sometime this week or by tomorrow? Like, have you ever gotten like that specific?
No, because I feel like you shouldn't do that. I feel like you shouldn't search for the sign. I feel like if it's really a sign from the other side, it will be presented to you. It's not gonna, like, I'm not going every day searching for a dragonfly. Like, I'm not 10 o'clock at night, like, oh my God, I didn't see or hear a dragonfly today. Like, I've got to go on this rampage and try and find this. Um, it will present itself to you. Any research that I've done, any psychics that I've listened to, they all explain things the exact same way. That's why I have no question in my mind about this. They always say that the other side likes to do these things. They like to do this. It's not a burden for them. They like to show that they're around. They have fun with it. So, but don't try and put restrictions on it. Don't be like, if I do not get this sign by tomorrow at noon, I'm going to know that this is not true. You have to just put it out there and let it come at your own time frame. Because again, like these beings, these energies, they know things that we don't. And we may not be on the time frame that we're supposed to be on. So you may ask for something today and you may not get it for 2 months. So you have to just put it out there. You have to trust that the other side knows what they're doing because they do, and they'll present it to you at a time that you need to see it. But I never put specific time frames on anything.
With you like talking about how like it could take this amount of time or this amount of time, do you ever like reconfirm like your sign of what you're asking for with them, or do you just put it out there and then you don't ask for it again?
Sometimes I will. Like, I'll always kind of remind my dad, like, if I'm going through something really hard, please send me an old card so that I know, because an old card for me is something I know and I can't deny it. So, I mean, occasionally I will, but most of the time, no. But sometimes I do get worried that like I'll forget it. So I'll put a note in my phone and like I'll put the date and like this is what I asked for. So then if I and this is the thing too, when you ask for signs, if you don't acknowledge them, they will represent itself to you and until the point that like they just stop because you're not being present. So it'll keep happening. So if you start noticing that you're seeing or hearing something, the same thing every day, that's kind of your cue of like, oh, this is a sign. And so then like if I need to, I'll go into my notes on my phone and be like, oh my gosh, I asked for this on this day. Now I'm getting it. You know, like what's going on in my life right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually have heard that people also like have journaled or taken notes. So like when they do see the signs, so like especially if you're trying to find guidance on like a big decision or something in your life, like taking the time when you do notice it to like write it down in a note on your phone of like this day I saw this, so that when you do get to the point where you're like, okay, I need to make a decision or I actually have to deal with this thing, you can actually reflect back and be like, was I getting these signs or was I not? And I think too, like Taylor was saying earlier, like they're going to be in unexpected ways. Like her dragonflies are always just in random ways. Like you need to be open to that. Like it doesn't have to be this big thing right in your face that it smacks you in the face. Like it could be a song lyric that like you hear the word and you're like, what? Or a conversation you overhear, or a bumper sticker, or like anything, you know, like, but I think if you're trying to see it as like it has to just like literally just slap me in the face, that's not really how it's going to work. Like you have to probably not overthink it for sure, but you have to just be like open to it being anything random. Like you can ask for the sign, but it might not show up as just the numbers on the clock, you know, like it has to be, or on a license plate, like it needs to be, and usually is like something that's not like it's obvious, but it's not so obvious, but you have to be able to like pay attention to those things. And I don't know, just if you start overthinking it, you're gonna be almost over fixated on it and then searching and trying to force it. And then I feel like at that point, it's just, I don't know, at that point, you just already want the decision or something. And maybe that's what you need is like to force yourself to make the decision by like forcing yourself to find it, if that's how you want to go about it. But I don't feel like that's usually like, I don't know, that doesn't make me feel like that came from the cosmos.
No, not at all. And honestly, like you have to have faith in it. Like you have to believe that that is coming from the other side. And again, like what Shelby was saying, it can be God, it can be Jesus, it can be the Holy Ghost, it can be your guardian angel, it can be a dead relative, it can be a dead parent. Like it can be anything, but you have to trust and you have to believe. You have to let go of some control. I know that this seems crazy. I know it does. But I also have the most comfort and I have the most reassurance in my life when I have signs come to fruition that there's no way I can question it. You have to just believe. And I will always preach. And as I move through a trial in my life and as I move through life, mindfulness is the key of everything. If you are not mindful, if you are not, and part of being mindful is being present. If you do not have a mindfulness practice that you are touching on every single day, you will never be able to see these signs. You never will. Mindfulness is the key to life. And you have to be present. You have to be mindful. You have to take time for yourself. You have to take time to connect to your higher power, or it just won't happen to you because you are being distracted and the other side isn't going to show up if you are distracted.
Yeah, and I for sure notice that with myself. Like whenever I'm in like a super heavy or busy period in life, like I will sometimes not be able to do my journaling in the morning, which is like a huge part of my mindfulness. And I won't have the time or the mental space to do a lot of these things that make me feel more connected. And my brain just kind of feels like I'm in a fog all the time. And I feel like life is just passing me by and I'm barely here. And I always notice that when I'm in that state, like I just don't feel like I have the synchronicities. I don't feel like this energy or this vibe like I normally like to live on. And when I'm trying to get back into it, and like if you're anything like me in general with this and you're kind of new to it, I would say like just start small. So I don't just like immediately dive back in and try and be like, I'm fucking connected. I'm like, I start asking for the signs small and I gradually build back into that practice because it doesn't just happen overnight. It's not something that you can just be like, well, I'm going to fart. I'm going to start asking for signs and all of these super intense things. Like if you're not connected and you're not aligned, like it's just not going to be there and it's not going to feel right. And I think it's just, I don't know, at the end of the day, you really do have to just trust the process and trust whatever it is that you believe in and find those things. And like I said earlier, like it is like a habit stacking. You have to be mindful and grateful and trust and all of these things. And you have to just really center yourself. But just like, don't expect it to happen overnight. Don't expect it to be these big grand gestures and don't expect it to literally give you every decision you need in your life because it doesn't, that's not what it's here for.
Yeah, 100%. And if you aren't comfortable, like asking for signs or if you have questions, please always reach out to me. And like, there's so many ways that you can reach the other side. Like tarot cards are a huge way that the other side can communicate with you. And yeah, it doesn't have to be something giant and something that's a whole production. It can literally be just asking, hey, can you send me this? Like, doesn't have to be a huge thing.
And honestly, you have to believe, like, not only do you have to trust it, you truly have to believe in something. Like, you have to believe that the universe has your back, that it's looking out for you, or whatever, again, it is that you believe in. We're universe people. So, like, you really have to believe that this is here. Taylor really believes that that's her dad and all of these things. And, like, if she didn't believe that, like, she probably wouldn't be having these experiences if she didn't believe in that. I know for sure when my grandma passes, that one's going to be easy for me. And I truly believe that she's going to be looking out for me. And sad to say, I honestly can't wait for that. Like, I can't wait to have this like different connection because this trauma I have around religious beliefs and having spirit guides, like it's impossible for me to like break into that next level. And I know when she passes, it's going to take me there, which is fucked up of me to say that I can't wait, but I truly can't because honestly, she's not super happy here on earth. And I know she's going to be giving me more guidance on that side than she is right now because that's just how life is. But I believe in that. And if I didn't believe in that, then none of it would even be happening.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Do you have any other like things you wanted to share? I feel like I asked you all my questions.
No, you're good. No, I think that that's it. Honestly, just be mindful, be present, and yeah, your life will change. Honestly, your life will change if you are mindful and present. And I firmly believe that.
Yeah, anytime I'm going through like a hard time, I always have to like check myself and be like, listen, you got to get fucking present. You got to get right with the universe. You got to get like this stuff back because everything is always off when I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for my therapy session. Just kidding.
You're welcome. Happy I could be of service.
We do have an asking for a friend today. I'm very excited because I remembered to post it. So, hashtag asking for a friend. Are we still following people on socials if we don't want to be friends? What's your hot take?
Um, this is hard for me. Like, what do you mean by like friends? Like hangout friends or
No, like, are you still following them? I think is what's being asked. We still following them on socials if
but
we don't
like
want to be
to
their
hang
friend?
out with them, like hangout friends or
No,
just like a acquaintance in your life?
just to have on your socials. Like, if you don't want to be their friend, are you keeping them on socials?
I mean, yes, I think I am. Just because if you have been in my life at any point in my life, I like to know that you're okay. Like, I just like to know that you're living your best life. I like to see still what you're up to. Like, I enjoy that. And so, yeah, I leave people on my social media because I genuinely want to know that they're happy still.
Yeah. I think for me, I kind of have like a similar view. There's definitely some people that I feel conflicted with. And then there's some people where I have no issue being like, yeah, we're not friends. If I saw you in the grocery store, I don't want to say hi to you. And I get more irritated that they're paying attention to my life because I don't feel like they deserve to have that information about me. Not sure why I have like such a hard stance on that. Maybe there's just some like negative, toxic energy there. So I feel like it just really depends on the situation with that person. There are definitely some people that I still have on my social media that I'm like, I really should take them off. Like, I don't need to have them on here. They don't need to see my life. I think they probably talk a lot of shit about me. But at the same time, like, haters are giving me this platform to do this. So sometimes you got to let the haters be there. I don't know. I'm in between. A lot of our responses, basically all of our responses from you guys say no, that you're not having them on socials. So maybe we're fucked up.
Maybe, maybe.
I don't know. I'm curious the people that said no, like if they have like this hard stance of like, we're not friends, so we're not friends on social. And I think for me, I have like more of the impression that Taylor has, where it's like if we've been acquaintances, friends, whatever, like, and I enjoy seeing what you post, like, I'm probably going to keep you on there. If there's
Mm.
ever a point where I don't feel like you're bringing anything good to my feed, or you're complaining a lot, or whatever, like, I don't want to keep you on there just for pleasantries or to not be a bitch. I got rid of a lot of people at the beginning of this year, and I think each year as my life goes on, I'll probably keep doing the same thing where it'll just constantly be like a cleanse of like, does your feed make me happy? Do I want you on here? I don't know. Let me think about it. But I don't know if other people just have like this hard line of, yeah, that you're gone. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It takes a lot for me to delete somebody
It
from my
seems
social media.
it seems so rude.
Yeah, I have like two people on my blocked list and they deserve to be there, but like that's it. Like I
Yeah.
don't care if you're seeing my stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to see if now that we've talked about it, maybe we should repost it too and see if more people
Mhm.
have an opinion after the conversation. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my stance, I guess. I feel maybe I'm an in-betweener.
Yeah,
I'm a
I feel
wiener.
the same too. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's our episode. So thanks for being here, guys. We sure appreciate you.
Yeah.
That was a weird way to end because I still don't know how to end with our ending.
That was so awkward. I'm just gonna go. I gotta go. Bye. Like, what the fuck was that? Thanks for being here. You're the worst. I'm just kidding.
Okay.